Hey y'all, thanks so much for listening to the Pain and Panic Trip Planning Podcast. My name is Haley Ragsdale, and I'm actually here by myself today. So sadly, Owen was not able to join in on the recording tonight. We had planned to record earlier in the week, and then the stomach bug hit my house, and it was a hot mess. So here I am on a Thursday night before the podcast releases on Friday morning. To give you a solo Haley podcast. So I hope you all are excited. Sorry there won't be as much sarcastic and funny banter tonight, but I am planning on giving you guys kind of an in-depth into how I go about the planning process and getting the best rates and the best deals, things like that. So keep in mind, it can be a lot of work and it can seem very overwhelming. So if you need any assistance or you don't want to do any of that, plugging into, Disney.com 60 times to figure out which hotel is going to be the cheapest or the best fit for your family, and looking at which ticket options really fits what your plans for your vacation are, I'm happy to help. That's what us travel agents are here for. So let me know. My services are totally free to you. Disney builds in their travel agency fees within the price that you pay for a Walt Disney World vacation and a Universal vacation. So whether you book with a travel agent or not, you're paying for a travel agent. You pay the exact same price whether you pay for a travel agent or not. It's either Disney pockets that money or you get to help a travel agent who you know and love. So hit me up. My email is haley.ragsdale@academytravel.com, or you can reach out to me on any of my socials at Haley Ragsdale Travel, and then fill out my client intake form. It's attached to my Instagram profile, my Facebook profile, my TikTok, all that kind of fun stuff, so I'd be happy to help. But I'm planning a vacation it's kind of like vacation/work trip. That's the cool part about what I do now, is that my work trips are going to Disney World and getting you all lots of content on certain things that have just recently come out, things like that. So I'm planning on going down for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party at the beginning of September. So I'll be there Labor Day weekend into that first week of September, and I'm really excited. But I've been planning that trip, so I'm going to kind of walk you guys through my process. I think I am going to be staying off property this time around, so we'll talk about all that in a little bit. But before we do that, I want to get into news. Big thing that happened today was the new bar at Walt Disney World, or they don't really call it a bar. The new, it's not a bar, it's not a pub, lounge, that's the word I was looking for. Beak and Barrel Tavern in Magic Kingdom, which is the new Pirates of the Caribbean themed restaurant, tavern, lounge area. They don't really have food. We talked about this on last week's podcast. They don't have like meal items, but they have different snacks and appetizer type items, as well as some fun alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. So this morning, those reservations were supposed to launch for the first time because the restaurant is opening on August 29th. Well, at 6 a.m., me and the rest of the Disney community were all hanging out on Disney's website, on our Disney apps, all that kind of fun stuff, and the site kept crashing. Kept crashing, kept getting error messages. There were so many like error, crash. And it turned out, so what I heard, and I don't know if this is true, but this was the last that I heard, and it was on like our travel agency Facebook page, so that makes me think it's pretty accurate, was that there were like basically Chinese bots that were trying to get all of the reservations. So kind of like what happened with the whole Taylor Swift ticket debacle thing. It was a similar setup. So there were all of these different bots and things, and they couldn't verify identities, which I don't really understand how they weren't able to verify identities, because you have to have like a Disney account. You have to have, for the most part, like park tickets and things like that. So I'm not 100% sure how this happened, but it crashed the site. I kept checking all morning. Around 10:30, you could finally get through to make other dining reservations. So it had basically crashed the entire Disney dining reservation system, which was just crazy. And so you couldn't make any kind of dining reservations. Every time you tried to pull it up, it popped up with an error message. So around 10:30, you could finally get in and make dining reservations. And so when I went and looked at the Beak and Barrel Tavern, it showed that all of the reservations were already booked up. Well, that's just what the system, I guess, went to, like, automatically showed. And so turns out no one was able to book any reservations, so they're planning on another release date for the launch of those dining reservations. They haven't officially announced like when they're going to update those dining reservations. I've heard rumors about tomorrow morning, but I feel like they would have told people already by now, but I will still be checking at 6 a.m. tomorrow just to see. But they should be releasing some kind of date. They usually try to give you a heads up. So if you are one of those people that are trying to grab that reservation, just check the Disney app and it'll tell you under Beak and Barrel Tavern. Around like 10:45, it had updated to say, hey, nobody got any reservations today. We're going to relaunch these dining reservations at a later date. We'll keep you all updated. So that's the latest in Disney news. It was a frustrating and disappointing morning this morning, and I feel like Disney has had so many different launches from Run Disney, dining reservations, whatever it might be. They know their people are crazy. They know their people are going to be on their website 5 minutes before, 15 minutes before, whatever it is drops, and we're all going to be hitting refresh and trying to get in. So I feel like they need to figure out a better system. I feel like Disney's IT department can figure this stuff out, but who knows? We'll see. Okay, in other news, Thunderbolts is supposed to start streaming sometime this month on Disney Plus. I've heard rumors August 27th, so that's kind of what I'm hoping for, but don't hold me to that. Fantastic Four is doing great in the box office. I haven't seen it yet, but I would love to see it. Let's see what else is going on. There's a film version of the Broadway musical Hamilton that is set to be released in theaters by Walt Disney Studios, so that'll be interesting. Big things in the theme parks, like we already talked about, the Beak and Barrel Tavern reservations dropping this morning. Halloween, they've actually started decorating for Halloween, which is really exciting. And they've released the full menu for the 2025 Epcot International Food and Wine Festival. So check out the app if you want to see that. Looks super duper exciting. Everything looks delicious, obviously, always. That's kind of the big things. The big thing was the dining reservations this morning, and now we're gearing up for Halloween. 70th anniversary is still going strong in Disneyland. Universal Studios, they're riding the Halloween Horror Nights stuff right now. Preparing for the start. It's going to officially start on August 28th. So I believe that's like a week or two after Disney's Mickey's Not So Scary. I want to say Mickey's Not So Scary is like next week. So I want to say they're a week or 2 weeks ahead or so. But the park has announced new haunted houses that include Poltergeist House at Universal Studios Hollywood and an original house called Hatchet and Chains Demon Bounty Hunters, which for someone whose child is obsessed with the K-pop Demon Hunters movie, I would love to see something like that. I know that's not going to happen in Halloween Horror Nights, but hey, Universal, let's just throw something in there. Could be interesting. Rip Rad Rocket is scheduled to permanently close on August 18th. So if you are going to Universal in the near future, you're not going to be able to ride Rip Rad Rocket, probably, unless you're going in the next 3 days. Skull Island Reign of Kong will be closed for refurbishment from August 20th to September 3rd, and Dudley Do Right's Ripsaw Falls is scheduled for refurbishment in October. So a couple of the big rides there in that Universal area that will be closed here for just a little bit. Other than that, those are kind of the big things news-wise. So let's get into the meat of today's podcast. So, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, today I am solo, so we're going to be kind of talking technical things. So for all of you planning nerds out there, this is going to be the best podcast ever. For those of you that like listening to Owen's funny jokes and our silly banter and things, I'm sorry, I'll try to banter with myself, but y'all might just call me crazy. But I kind of want to walk you all through my process. So like I said, I've got a trip coming up here at the end of August. I'll be leaving August 30th and I'm coming back September 3rd. So I'm going from like a Saturday to a Wednesday down to Walt Disney World. And kind of my process of how I decided where I was going to stay, what days I was going to go, when I was going to go to the party, all of that kind of stuff to kind of help you all plan your own Disney vacations, and if you're planning on planning a trip, how you can kind of make those decisions for yourself and your family as well. I will say when I plan my trips for just me, it's very different from when I plan my trips for me, my husband, and our toddler, or when I plan like our bigger trips with me and my mom and her husband, his kids, and all of my siblings, right? Because that's a huge party, a huge group. Takes a little more planning effort wise. You got to think about what everybody else wants to do. And when I'm going just by myself, yes, I'm thinking about what kind of content and things that I want to capture while I'm down at the parks, but I also get to do whatever I want, which is awesome. And I love it. And I'm super excited. So first of all, one of the first things that I look at a lot of times is if I want to fly, or if I want to drive. So this helps me kind of figure out what days I want to go as well. Part of why I'm going at this time too is because it's Labor Day. So the daycare that I work for is closed on the 1st. I usually have Tuesdays off. So then I only had to take one day of vacation day on that Wednesday, which was pretty nice. But a lot of times I will do like a long weekend effort, partly because we are so close to Knoxville that I can fly from the Knoxville airport directly to MCO on Mondays and Fridays. So doing a long weekend makes a lot of sense because I can fly Allegiant direct Friday, come back Monday, have 2 days in the park, Saturday, Sunday, have a little vacation. You're not spending as much money on a short weekend vacation. Plus that direct flight's going to be a lot cheaper. When I went when did I go? May, for the Epic Universe previews, I flew direct through Allegiant Tyson to MCO, and it was like $70 round trip. So look at flights before you set exact like dates that you want to go. Look at flights. Say, okay, if I fly these days, it's going to be a lot cheaper. Because if I had even just changed from Thursday to Monday, it was going to be like $300 in flights versus $70 in flights, right? So any of my people that are Knoxville people that are listening to this, Allegiant flies direct, Tyson to MCO, Mondays and Fridays. That is huge. It saves you a lot of money. You could do a week-long trip, Monday to Monday. You could go Monday to Friday. You could go Friday to Monday. Those are all great options. So keep that in mind. Since I'm going Labor Day weekend, the flights were going to be more expensive whether I did a long weekend or if I did something else. So we're actually in Johnson City right now. So I'm flying out of Tri-Cities, and it was going to be like the same price as Tyson. And pretty much any days that I decided to go, it was going to be the same price. So that was kind of the first thing I looked at. And then I looked into some of the hotels, who's going to be more expensive. But for me, the big thing was what parties were available. So I had originally been looking at the Friday, the August 29th party is the one I was originally looking at. And I had kind of waited a little too long. And I was going to do like Friday to Monday and then get there super early Friday, go to the party Friday night, and then go to the parks Saturday, Sunday, fly back Monday. But I waited a little too long and the party sold out. So next best option was to do Tuesday. And that Tuesday party still had availability. And honestly, I feel like going to a Tuesday party over a Friday party is probably going to be better for me anyways, because hopefully the crowds won't be as bad because it's Magic Kingdom on a Tuesday versus a Friday. So you won't get as many locals there. So with that being said, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the party Tuesday night. I can fly back Wednesday, only have to take one day of vacation. So that's kind of how I decided on that Saturday to Wednesday time frame. But there's a couple different ways, right? Like the best thing for you to do if you're trying to decide when you're going to go and you have that flexibility, as a travel agent, when a client says, hey, here are the things we really want, everything else is kind of like whatever you think is best. That's awesome because it's not the same every single time, right? Like it's not always, oh, you have to start your trip on a Monday and that's going to be the cheapest option. It depends on what week of the year you go. It depends on what parties are going on. If there's a Run Disney event, there are so many things that to take into account. So the more flexible you can be, the cheaper we can get your rate, really. And the more fun you're going to have too. So I decided on Saturday to Wednesday. Super excited. No, I'm going to the party on Tuesday. So now I'm in that process of, okay, what other parks do I want to go to? How many times do I want to go to the parks? Do I want to be able to park hop? all of those things were kind of weighing into my decisions, as well as where do you want to stay. So I know when I'm gonna be going. I know I'm gonna be flying, and I know I'm going to the party on Tuesday. And those were kind of my things that I was like, okay, I've got this nailed down. And then I know that I want to go to Hollywood Studios, I want to go to Epcot, and I want to go to Animal Kingdom. Magic Kingdom, I didn't necessarily like feel like I needed a Magic Kingdom ticket because I have a Halloween party ticket, which is in Magic Kingdom. And so you can get into Magic Kingdom at 4 p.m. So the party doesn't start until it's either 7 or 8. Now I'm second guessing myself. I'm pretty sure it's 7. Party doesn't start until 7. But if you have a Halloween party ticket, you can enter Magic Kingdom at 4. So I was like, you know what? I'll just hang in Disney Springs or something during the day, take a nap, and then I'll go to Magic Kingdom at 4. Party doesn't end until midnight. I'll get plenty of Magic Kingdom time within that time frame. And so Disney is actually running a deal right now. If you buy 3 days worth of tickets, and they're only good for Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and Epcot, and it's 1 ticket per day, you can get them like as low as I think it's $79 a day for each ticket. And so that'll save you a lot of money, because your park hoppers and things, 1 day of a park hopper ticket is almost the same price as getting those 3 days worth of tickets. So I kind of weighed the options because it can also be cheaper if you do it as a package with your tickets. So if you do a package with tickets where you do your hotel and your tickets together, it can be cheaper. If you do one of the deals and things, it can be cheaper. If you're going to do 1 park per day, it's going to be cheaper than park hopper options, but it all kind of depends on what you want from your vacation, right? And so I looked at potentially doing a package with a Disney hotel or a Good Neighbor hotel, and then seeing if that would be cheaper. And if I had done a long weekend where I only had 2 days in the parks, it would have been cheaper for me to stay at one of the like Good Neighbor hotels and do the 2 days of park hoppers. But since I have that extra day, it's actually going to be cheaper for me to stay off property and do the 3-day ticket deal. But these were all things that I like looked at. Okay, if I did these days and I was going to do this many days in the parks, how much would it cost me for a single ticket and a park hopper ticket? Okay, well, knowing that we have these deals in place, there's also the stay longer, save more deal as well. So the longer you stay in one of the Disney hotels, the more you can get off per night, so on and so forth. So I looked at that as well. So I kind of weighed all of the different ticket options as well as the different deals that they had running at the same time. And I figured out that probably what was the best for me is going to be to do the 3 days worth of tickets, 1 park per day without Magic Kingdom. That's going to be the most affordable and get me, days in the parks that I want. So my plan is to stay at one of the off-property hotels. I'm looking at one of the Marriotts and one of the Best Westerns. I haven't 100% decided on where I'm going to stay, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be off-site. So it's going to be like my second time staying off-site. So I will let you all know if I think it's worth it. By the looks of it right now, because Labor Day weekend prices are obviously going to be higher at Disney World, it looks like it's going to save me like $300 to $400 versus staying at like All-Star, which is crazy, right? All-Star's value resort at Disney. So hopefully it's worth it, especially since it's just me. It's not as far-fetched for me to be like, oh, I'll just hop in an Uber, or, oh, I'll wait on a shuttle. I'll make sure I'm at the stop at this time to hop on the shuttle, even if it takes a little longer to get there. It's not as big of a deal when it's just me. I will say if I was going and it was me, Jack, and Lucas, you can bet that I'm staying on property, because with a toddler, there are so many things that could happen. The ease of being able to go back to your back to your hotel and so forth makes such a huge difference, especially when you have kids. So I would pay the extra money if Lucas was going to be with me, but with it just being me, we'll see how it goes. I may regret these words. I may totally regret it when I get back, and I will let you know in that first week of September episode if it was horrible or if I loved it, so on and so forth. I'm going to try to stay in one of the like Disney Springs ones, because worst case scenario, if you're at one of the Disney Springs neighbor hotels, you can always walk over to Springs and hop on a Disney Springs bus to wherever you're trying to get. So if the shuttle's taking forever, because a lot of these hotels do have shuttles that run to and from the parks, but they're not as reliable as the Disney transportation, you can always walk over to Springs and hop on a Magic Kingdom bus, right? So that's kind of why I lean toward the Springs hotels if I'm staying off property. Because yes, you're off property, but you're at Disney Springs. It's basically on property, in my opinion. So we'll see how it goes. I will let you all know. I'm going to do the 3 days of tickets. So that's kind of how I went about making those big decisions. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, if this has sounded totally overwhelming, because I understand my brain sometimes feels like it is a Google Chrome browser with 60 different tabs open, and I'm just switching from one tab to the next, following 60 trains of thoughts in order to organize my train of thought into one long, beautiful train, which is kind of what planning a Disney vacation can feel like. And that's why I'm here to help. So please never hesitate to reach out, even if you're even if you're like, I don't know that I want to necessarily book a vacation, but I'm interested. I just love talking about Disney, so I would be happy to talk with you. All of my socials, Haley Ragsdale Travel, my email, haley.ragsdale@academytravel.com. Let me know. I'll be happy to help. So here is my plan for my vacation at the end of August / beginning of September for Labor Day weekend. So Saturday, I have flights booked. I'm supposed to get in pretty early. I want to say it's around like 11 a.m. noon. And so as of right now, my plan is to get in and then I'll book a Mears Connect for myself. So as a travel agent, we can book Mears Connect for you. We have like a partnership with Mears. Basically what happened was when Magical Express went away, what happened was Disney and I believe it was still Mears. Disney and Mears had a contract saying that like Disney was going to pay them to shuttle people back and forth from their resorts and the airport. And Disney was going to pay for it. Magical Express was free if you were staying at a Disney resort. Well, contract expired. Disney said, hey, you can still shuttle people back and forth, but we're not going to pay you anymore. So now we're charged a fee in order to be shuttled back and forth by Mears. It's not horrible. I want to say it's around $30-ish depending on when you're going. And I can book all that for you and send you quotes, ideas of how much it's going to be on what days, especially once we have your flight information. As a travel agent, we try not to book your flights for you. I encourage my clients to book your own flights, but I will help you find your flights, plan around your flights, and all that kind of stuff. But if you have any issues with your flight, if you miss a connection, anything like that, it's a lot easier if all of it's in your name, if you're the one that booked everything, versus if you have to go through a travel agent. It's a lot easier for you to walk up to the desk than for me to keep trying to call these different flights in order to get your flight changed. So we just say, hey, you book your flights. I'm happy to help you look at flights, find the flight that's going to fit your family, your itinerary, and your budget. But you book it yourself. Mears Connect, I'm happy to book for you. So I'll probably take the Mears Connect. And then I haven't decided. So if I'm going to have 3 days of park tickets, I'm going to be there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, I leave. Tuesday, I know that I'm going to be at the party in the afternoon. So kind of my two options are going to a park right when I get there, which isn't usually my favorite thing to do. I usually like going to Disney Springs. But I could go to a park right when I get there on that Saturday, or I go to Disney Springs, or I go to a park before the Halloween party on that Tuesday, and then go to the Halloween party Tuesday evening, which is probably what I'll end up doing. So I think what I'm going to do is go Saturday, go to Disney Springs, do a little shopping, all that kind of fun stuff. And then Sunday and Monday, either do Epcot and then Hollywood Studios or vice versa. I'll probably look at the weather because a big thing that I want to do is Fantasmic, because Fantasmic is like my favorite show on the planet. I love it so much. So I definitely want to be there for Fantasmic. So if there's a chance of rain on either of those 2 days, I will go to Epcot on the day that it's supposedly going to rain, and I will go to Hollywood Studios on the other day. Just because I want to see Fantasmic. And then Tuesday, I'll probably do Animal Kingdom during the day, go back to the hotel, rest, change into my costume, which y'all, it's gonna be Hades. I'm so excited. And then head over to the Halloween party. And then Wednesday morning, I'll fly out, fly home. My husband and son will pick me up from the airport, and I'll go back to my normal life as an infant daycare teacher. So it'll be a grand old time. But that's kind of my plan and kind of how I go about planning my trips. A lot of times when I'm going with me, Lucas, and Jack, or I'm going with my entire family, my siblings, something like that, I do a lot more detailed planning after this. So this is kind of my first step in the planning process, right? Figure out the hotel, figure out travel arrangements, figure out your ticket options. Those are the three big things that we start with. And then after that, we'll get into dining reservations and all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to get a Beacon Barrel dining reservation for the day that I'm there for the party, the Halloween party. So fingers crossed. That's the only big dining reservation that I'm trying to get. As a party of one, it's a lot easier to walk up to some of these restaurants, and there's none that I'm like, I absolutely have to go here. I may look into trying to get into that new Epcot lounge, but not 100% sure on that. We'll see. But Beacon Barrel is kind of my one dining reservation that I'm trying to get. As a friendly reminder, dining reservations open 60 days before your trip. If you're staying at a Walt Disney World resort, basically 60 days before the first day of your trip, and then you can book for the entirety of your trip. If you're not staying at a Walt Disney World resort, then it's 60 days each day. So 60 days from the Monday you're there. Then that Tuesday you can book at 6 a.m. 60 days before that. For that Wednesday, you can book 6 a.m. 60 days before that. So that's kind of one of the perks of staying on property. Lightning lanes are a week before your trip for those staying on property. So I haven't decided if I'm going to do any lightning lanes. I'm going to be 100% honest. The only one I may do is Guardians because that ride is phenomenal. But I've been on a lot of the big rides. I'm really going down there this trip to get content and to kind of relax. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But those are the other things that I would get really detailed with is our dining reservations and our lightning lane reservations, things like that, that I'm going to, build in the My Disney Experience app, and I'm going to show on our plans so that everybody in my party can see. And that's kind of the beautiful thing about it. But yeah, other than that, that is how I begin the process of planning a Walt Disney World vacation. And I recognize that it is a lot. Like I said, a lot of times I feel like I have 70 tabs open in my brain and it can be super duper overwhelming. Always feel free to ask me questions. Like I said earlier, I love talking about Disney. Reach out to me if you'd like any assistance planning a trip. My email is haley.ragsdale@academytravel.com. I would love to help you. This is what I'm passionate about. That's why I'm doing this. So please reach out. Sorry you didn't have as many jokes today, as much sarcasm today, as much of Owen's big, beautiful, bald head today. But reach out to me if you have any questions. Thank you all so much for listening. I'm looking forward to my trip. Hopefully Owen will be back with us next week. Follow me on all the socials, Haley Ragsdale Travel. Until next time, bye-bye.